Ouachita One Table. Ouachita One Table podcast is a deeper discussion of issues facing our business communities. Over this series, we'll invite community leaders in businesses, the arts, nonprofits, culture, and government as we discuss the issues that strike at the heart of the Chamber's mission for the greater good of our parish. Topics such as workforce development, education, quality of life, economic development, and more. Ouachita One Table. This podcast is a partnership project of the Monroe and West Monroe, West Ouachita Chambers of Commerce and was produced by Godly Works Productions in the Louisiana Catalyst Podcast Studios at the Benoit Community Center. Now, here are your hosts, Roy Heatherly and Christopher Kelly.
Hey, well, it's Chris Kelly with the West Monroe, West Ouachita Chamber, and this is Ouachita One Table, a deeper dive into business topics. I'm joined, as always, with my amazing friend,
Roy Heatherly with the Monroe Chamber of Commerce, and we get
a part two.
We get a part two. It's fabulous.
It's fabulous. Dr. Wendi Tostenson of Louisiana Delta Community College.
Hey, y'all. I'm Dr. Wendi Tostenson. I'm over Education and Student Services, but really I'm just over students.
And just a minute ago, last week's episode, we talked about your path, how you got here, background on Delta, but that was more past and present. Let's talk future.
Awesome. I'm excited.
Okay, so Delta's changed, things are pivoting. Tell us Dr. Esther's vision of the future. Sure. How are we responding to the business needs?
So I think that we have really shifted our entire higher education business model, and we're putting our business and industry partners in the beginning of the conversation, not at the end, meaning that everything that we do is being driven by what our industry partners need and want out of employees. And they're at the tables, and y'all helped facilitate that this past year with all the round tables that we had, and we've got continued effort there. We've got a great opportunity with the North Louisiana Healthcare Alliance where they are pushing through what healthcare needs to look like, who we need to be. But they're at the table driving our educational decisions. Because in reality, if we are not providing our employers with what they need, they won't hire our students. And our students come to us so they can get a job. So what if, just saying, we ask our industry partners what they wanted first.
Right, and then pivot to meet
and
the
then
need.
we delivered it.
What a novel idea.
I love it.
But Dr. Esther's has got a long reputation of strong workforce development relationships. And he has been both in Louisiana and Arkansas and has been a huge champion of industry and business partners being at the forefront and they being the critical decision maker in all that we do. So we see that part is shifting, and we also see that some of our relationships, both internally and externally, are beginning to shift. We've got some really new innovative thought processes. We're looking at the different campuses that we have and what is in those spaces. So, for example, on our Winsboro campus, we have a really strong relationship with John Deere, and they have been instrumental in creating a new program there, and it will start in, let me think what month I'm in. It'll start in the spring, and that's going to be an ag equipment technician. And so
great.
they will be actually working on John Deere large pieces of equipment. Y'all, do you know that some of these pieces of equipment have more technology than a space shuttle?
Right.
I mean, so you've got to have a high skill set. You don't just walk in and start working on that. So that partnership with Goldman has been really influential. And they came to our campus director, Dean Kuiper, and said, hey, we are really interested in this type of program, this type of training. And so they're willing to provide us with equipment. They're there at the very beginning. They're donating funds. We've got a new building that's being able to be completed because of that type of training program. But we saw that in Winsboro, there was an agricultural need for this type of equipment technician. We also are looking at our other campuses. For example, on our Bastrop campus, we've got a really great relationship with some of our healthcare partners there. They have donated land for a new facility, And while we're having that new facility built, we're doing an expansion where we're going to have almost a $2 million simulated hospital in Bastrop that our students can go to, whether they're a front medical office or they are training to be an RN. We're going to have the MT, we'll have the LPN, the medical assistant, and all. So they're going to be able to be immersed in what a real hospital will look like, and we're going to have the coolest, high-techiest things you can imagine.
Right.
So we're seeing that we've got to reimagine, but we've got to reimagine as we're engaged with our employers. We're looking at some different programs, both with Ruston and in Lake Providence, that are paired up with some of our four-year universities. We're working with another program that'll go at K-12 all the way through to VCOM. And knowing that these pathways are really critical, and we've got to think differently, to be differently, to become differently. And I'm very excited because Dr. Esther sees that. He's a relationship builder. He realizes that we've got to put our time and effort in up front, and we've got to step out of what we were maybe comfortable with.
Sure.
And we have, and we're doing it at an explosive rate.
I love to see leadership that works together and complements each other. And that's what I see with you and Dr. Esther's.
Yeah.
And I see that beyond with other people there, but it's just like you all have worked together for so long and you haven't.
No, we're all very new.
Very new.
Very new in our position. So Dr. Esther's has been there 1 year yesterday. I know.
Wow.
I mean,
Feels like a lot longer than
it really does. And so I've been in the position that I have been in for 6 months. I've only been at the school for 2.5 years. Dean Boone, who is our Dean of Instruction, has only been in his position about 6 months. So we've got some leadership at the very top level that is new. Now, Dean Boone has been at the school for 10 years, but this position it's a new position, newly created, newly designed. So we can really have some different thought processes.
Yeah.
And I think that because we're taking down all of those silos, and there is not all of the division.
Right.
And when I say division, I mean literally all the divisions. There's just Wendi can go see Wendi. Mm-hmm. And I think that when you have that one person at the top who can make those decisions and knows how it impacts all of the other areas, and I'm unique. I have served roles in all of those different divisions, and so I know how they kind of all go together or not. It has really shifted how quickly we can begin to pivot and to respond. And that's important.
So, okay, knowing all that, which is a lot. So I still, Uncle Roy's tagline, I question all the time. What's next year and the year after? What does success look like for Delta serving its student base next year and the year after, the year after?
Well, and the second part of that question, what does it look like for Delta? But what does that in turn mean for our community?
Sure.
What does success look like there?
So I think for Delta to be successful, we have to provide our industry partners with what they need for the workforce. Plain and simple, cut and dry. If we are not graduating, whether it's short-term or long-term training programs, if we're not graduating qualified individuals to match up with the skill sets that our industry partner needs, we're failing.
Got it.
And if we can create great training opportunities and have students who are completing and graduating and going to work, and our industry partners are happy, more industry partners will come in, and in essence, it creates a better opportunity for our entire community. I think that if we don't start with our business and industry partners, we fail. I want our students to stay here. That's really important to me, to create an ecosystem here in our region that nobody wants to leave because they're so happy. I mean, we have so much. I often say, we don't share all the good stuff that we have, and we have so many wonderful opportunities here, and we touch this whole region. If we create what our industry needs, and we have those pathways for our students, why do they leave? The job is here, the opportunity is here.
Because family happens and life happens and they're settled.
And then you've got this phenomenal just catalyst for economic growth and change. And then we're going to be beating down the people who are at the sidelines wanting to come in. And, they maybe can if they're from Georgia and, they're the Bulldogs.
Depends on how they pronounce words.
Big answer. But I mean, for me, it's all about, are we taking care of our business and industry? And are we giving our students quality training opportunities to get great jobs so they can stay here and be here and become who they want to be? And then everything else is part of that. Like, are we forming strong partnerships within the communities that we serve? Are we forming strong partnerships with the universities that are in those communities? Are we giving back to our community? Are we doing what we say we're doing? Do we have equity and diversity in everything that we're doing? But to do all of that, we have to be providing our industry and business what they need, or we fail.
It's so beautiful. It's so simple, but it's so damn innovative.
And
It just makes me so happy.
But the other part of that, the peripheral part of that is quality of life
Yes.
around the community. And you all are very active in that.
Very.
I mean, you're on our board, Dr. Esther's on Chris's board, Darian's on our diversity committee. I mean, you are
Plugged
in and trying to elevate other aspects of our community.
I think for all of us, we live here. This is home. And so for us, and it's family. And so it is our responsibility to take care of our home and our family, and it's our responsibility to grow and nurture our region to become the absolute best it can be. And I think for me personally, I only want to be number one. And I say that jokingly sometimes, but I mean it. I
know you
want
do.
us to be number one.
No one doubts when you
Right.
say it either. Believe me.
I want the shift and the changes that we make here to be nationally recognized, but more importantly, for people to say, we can do it too. If they did it, we can do it. Because that begins to shift how we think, how we feel, what we do, who we become.
A, you're a blessing for our community. B, you are so right. You're giving, hope. You're saying we can be number one. We can do these things. And, Mayor Ellis talks a lot about apathy in our community. And I think people just need to hear that message and they just light up because they want us to be number one, just like you.
That's right.
Yeah. For me, we're all here for a reason. We're picking to stay here.
Sure we are.
So I think that
Roy picked to come back.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, I picked to come back. So I think that we
do
have
too.
to
I do.
stop
Yeah.
saying that there's apathy. I think what we have to start saying is there aren't enough people saying we want to be number one together.
There you go.
And if we all start saying it, the ones who are here because they want to be here, they'll start saying it too. And then it's a huge movement because I don't believe that anyone is staying because they don't like it here. They're staying because they love it here and this is their home.
Yep.
And we can change everything if we do it together.
Yes, we can.
And
Amen.
it
to
starts
that.
with a change in dialogue,
It
like we
does.
said earlier.
Right.
Oh, you're going to Delta?
Right.
Holy cow.
Awesome.
Not,
Yeah.
oh, you're going to...
And you may even got a scholarship.
Yeah, and the perception needs to change too. Delta means you're getting plugged in. You're getting plugged in fast. You're getting into
Right.
a career path. Hey, and maybe 4 years for you. Great, but also
Well, and I think that those partnerships that we have with our four-year partners is really critical because there are some short-term training that we can deliver to four-year students where they can be working and earning while they're learning
Right.
with them. And we have great dialogue there because we see that we're all part of the same ecosystem and we're all working for the same end results.
But that's novel to me because I came from higher ed. I was at that university for a long time, and I love that university. I got pieces of paper from there. But that's novel. Even when Delta was on their campus, it was it's Delta Camaro.
Right.
And now we are a continuum of educational
Right.
opportunities meeting you where you are.
And truly,
Holy cow.
truly collaborating with
Yeah,
one another,
right.
truly working together. I serve on 2 different boards with ULM. I mean, we are really working together. This is not we're saying we're working together.
Yeah.
This is
Right.
we are making a difference for our community. We are working with Grambling. We are working with Louisiana Tech. Those are very real and viable relationships now that I don't know have always been But we're in a place now, if we all want to be better, we have to be better together. So y'all know Kyle's from Minnesota. And
we don't hold that against
That's
No,
right.
not at all.
But PJ Fleck is the football coach there, and he has this saying about row the boat. You got to all row together. If you want to get somewhere, you have to row together, because if somebody is rowing against you, you'll go in circles. And I think that if all higher ed is rowing together, if all K-12 partners are rowing together, if all business and industry are rowing together, if all chambers are rowing together, if all, like, we're all rowing together, because if we really all want the same thing,
Yes.
we should be rowing together, then we will get there faster, better. It will be amazing. It really will.
And I
And the
want-
future becomes unanticipable
Yes.
because
Right.
you know
You can't even see where we're headed.
You're not even that's right.
And I want our community to understand what a great asset we have in Louisiana Delta Community College, and to celebrate that. I mean, you all are special.
Oh, we're fabulous.
Well, you are fabulous, and it's right here in Ouachita Parish, in Monroe, and
Well, in the 11 parishes.
Right.
like you
yes,
said.
and the 11 parishes. Yes.
22
Well, and you
22
think, so,
facilities.
like, we're in Monroe, we're in West Monroe. I mean, we're in Lake Providence, we're in Tallulah, we're in Winsboro, we're in Bastrop,
Bastrop.
we're in Ruston, we're in Jonesboro. Y'all, we really are everywhere, and our
and-
footprint is huge.
Well, look at what you just said you're doing in Bastrop. The hospital simulation, high tech in Bastrop,
Right.
Louisiana. That is so cool. That is so great.
And those are the partnerships that create opportunity for students. And I also think that that becomes transferable in our whole region. If we can do something of that magnitude in Bastrop, and we've got a new facility in Ruston that's going up, and it's going to have more of an instrumentation focus, and it's going to have some robotics, and it's going to be really cool and shiny. And then we've got on some of our other campuses, for the West Monroe campus, we're focusing on a utilities, infrastructure, and logistics training facility. So we're going to be doing the training for broadband. We're going to be doing the training for linemen. We're going to be doing the training for CDL. We've got some logistics training coming in. You know, my vision is if we're going to expand this rural broadband into our rural region, we're not bringing people in from other states to do
Amen.
the digging and the work, and we're going to keep it here. And the relationship that we have with Etheridge Pipe and Conduit has been really instrumental in that, because we want to train people for here, to stay here, to keep the money here, to keep them here.
Talk about that for just a second, because I think that is just kind of it symbolizes how quickly you can move and how quickly you can react and how quickly you produce results.
So we worked with Etheridge Pipeline and Conduit, and in October we started having discussions regarding the Gumbo and the RDOF funds. The Gumbo funds won't come down until July, but we know that those funds are coming in, and there is going to be a lack of trained, qualified workers. In their industry, they call it shirt swappers, where you work for one company this week and you just switch your shirt and then you work for another company. I'm not multiplying employees.
Right.
So we're struggling then to get all these crews out to make this broadband initiative happen. So when they came and we discussed and we talked about what they needed, from October, November, and December, and y'all, we got to have Christmas and Thanksgiving in there, you know, like a little bit of turkey. By January, we did our first pilot program. So we were working directly with those industry partners. They're creating what we're doing, and now we're piloting it. We ran the first pilot. We had 7 people go through. Every one of them was hired. Now we're running additional programs, and we've got some state money coming in to purchase some equipment, because I didn't have a ditch witch.
Yeah.
I didn't have a bucket
Right.
truck. I didn't have OTDR tracers.
Right.
I didn't have the fiber and conduit. I
Splicers
used,
and all
right,
those
right.
things, yeah.
So the partnership with EPC was critical, because they were the ones that were bringing all that to the table so we could run this pilot program. But that's when you know your industry partner is invested. That the owners of the company are there during the training program, showing the students how to run the equipment, because they brought the equipment that day and they delivered it. That's shifting a thought process. That's putting us in a different space. That is industry focused, industry driven, creating the training that they need, they want, so they get the employee at the end that they want.
And honestly, that's what's going to change futures for so many people
Right.
is having that little thin piece of glass
Right.
run to a million small places,
Right.
and then being able to fix it when it gets broken or hit by a truck or stepped
Right.
on by a cow or whatever it is. We need those people intellectually here,
Right.
Because the maintenance of that diffuse network is going to be the next go to the moon.
Right. Because I think
Target.
that people think of, oh, well, we're just going to get the installation part done and then it just self-maintains. No. So if you have ever had an outage with your phone or your utilities or with your broadband, somebody had to go fix it.
Right.
And I don't know if y'all know this, but Louisiana has those little things called hurricanes. They come through. Last year, what did we have? An ice storm. We've had weather. But then you also have subdivisions that are being built. So that means that underwires being disturbed. We have right now, we've got a gas transmission program that we're going to be working on, and that'll start next month, because we have very old piping that's under the ground that has to be redone and restored. So we're not thinking
That
about
are critical nationwide.
Right. So we're not thinking about just training for something that will be short term and short lived. But these are long term career opportunities. Part of the reason that we're putting the logistics portion on it is we'll have a heavy equipment piece there. We'll have the commercial vehicle operator piece there. They all intertwine and go together. Really thinking about what are our ecosystems in each one of our areas and how do we create job opportunities and how do we move forward, not backwards. How do we go forward? How do we be better? How do we be number one? Just number one.
Just number one.
Just number
It's
one.
easy.
That's
just
easy.
number one.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Wendy, you get me excited about what the future holds for our
I
area.
agree.
You get me pumped up about what possibilities are for industry and small businesses because we have a community partner and we're facilitating a workforce that we don't even conceive of right now.
Right.
Having a conversation that talks about possibilities and anticipating and being as proactive as possible. That's so cool and so novel. And so I applaud your enthusiasm. I think it's miraculous that you got a chance to come back and get plugged in because you didn't get snatched up by University of Georgia or one of
They
those
tried.
places over there.
Yeah.
But kudos to Dr. Esters too.
Yeah.
For having that kind of
I cannot sing his
perception.
praises enough. He is doing a phenomenal job, and he really is focused on moving every barrier out of the way and making something amazing happen. And one of the things he says often, that he doesn't let what his his evaluation does not drive what he is going to do. He's
Got it.
going to do what is right. And you often see people that are in those positions that are very concerned
Yes.
about keeping those positions.
Sure.
Not that he doesn't want to keep his position, but his thought is, if I do a really amazing job and we create amazing opportunities here, everything else really did fall together.
Yes.
And so he has got this very large thought of, let's build it better than anybody can conceive, and let's put the right people in the right places and let them go do what they're great at.
We need to get him to come out of his shell. He's a little reserved.
Look, but I will I'll brag on him in this way. We had a meeting one time, and I'm sitting there, background explaining something, and he's being very nice and just listening to me and everything. Meanwhile, I didn't understand this man really understood petrochem.
Yes.
Like that is going out of style.
Oh, he is so smart. I mean, so
I didn't mean
smart.
to, but then he decided to finally start talking.
He just dropped
and
some
I will
nuggets.
never underestimate
No.
Dr. Esters ever again. He dropped some nuggets of profound petrochemical engineering
Yeah.
on me, and I went, ooh, I hope I wasn't talking.
And he comes
down.
off with that, I'm just a
that
country
country
boy
boy.
from South Louisiana.
That's
Right, don't you let those country people fool you.
No. Even if
Wendy,
they
what a
mispronounce
joy
PK.
it is to have you today, but just to be in our community. What a joy you are.
I'm glad y'all let me come back.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for part two.
We're going to have you come back again.
Yeah, and
I'm available.
maybe tag team with Dr. Esters next time.
Yeah,
I
that
can
would be
do that.
awesome.
I I bring him out of his shell, son.
Yeah, you did. You did.
So, on behalf of both chambers, thanks for what you're doing to support our business community and the next stage of what's going on. So this has been Ouachita One Table, a deeper dive into business discussion. I'm Christopher Kelly with the West Monroe West Ouachita Chamber of Commerce, joined as always with my awesome friend,
Roy Heatherly with the Monroe Chamber of
I almost
Commerce.
did
I was
one
going to say my awesome friend Chris Kelly, and we're with our
dear
awesome
friend and fabulous partner in educating and moving the whole ball
Yeah.
to the
Y'all
future.
just stay tuned. It's fixing to get really good.
Yeah, amen.
I'm a little scared.
We're just
but
getting
okay,
started.
Let's go for it.
That's right.
Thanks
Thank
to
you.
Dr. Wendi Tostenson.
Bye, y'all.
You've been listening to Ouachita One Table with Christopher Kelly and Roy Heatherly. This podcast is a partnership project of the Monroe and West Monroe West Ouachita Chambers of Commerce and was produced by Godly Works Production in the Louisiana Catalyst Podcast Studios at the Benoit Community Center.